You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hello and welcome back to the Vision to Grow podcast. I'm Chrissy and I am really excited for today's episode. I want to have a chat to you about scaling, of course, but let's chat about whether you're scaling smart or you're just scaling more chaos. We want to align your team members with your business growth. So the goal of this episode is to help you understand the key strategies for scaling with an aligned, effective team rather than letting growth turn into chaos or being super reactive. You're growing, which is absolutely awesome. Like that's exactly where you want to be when you're starting a business, right? Like you went into business to deliver a service that you absolutely loved. You maybe didn't even think you were going to have a team, but here you are. You're a leader. You've got a team. Your service is in demand. But is your team growing with you, or are you feeling like you're dragging them along for the ride? Scaling can be exhilarating, or an absolute nightmare if your team isn't actually aligned with your vision. Today, we're going to break down how to scale smartly and not chaotically. So as a business owner and a founder, you have to be obsessed with the vision of your business. You live it, you breathe it. You have all the advantages of being a leader, all the challenges too. But if you got to the point in your business where you are hiring a team, you've been in business for a few years, you've got team with you, you are obsessed with your business. Like you've put the hard yards in, you're probably going on business retreats, you're talking on podcasts, you're obsessed and you've got a vision. But if you want your team to come along for the ride, you have to bring them with you. So as much as we'd love for them to be just as hyped up as we are about our business, it's unrealistic because for them, it's a job. They might be an outsourced provider. They might be a team member who's being paid a wage, an hourly rate, a salary. But here's the thing. It's a job for them. It can be an awesome job. People want a job with purpose, but they are not you. They are not going to be as lit up about your business as you are unless there's something in it for them. Because there's stuff in it for you, right? Like you get to expense travel for your business. You get to buy fancy new tech. You get to pick and choose your hours if you're in that stage of business. There is freedom. There is autonomy. Essentially, it's your vision. The thing is with our team, if we're growing it, we need to grow too. It's called Vision to Grow for a reason. My business is called Grow Advantage for a reason. We need to approach leadership with understanding. Because if your team's going to grow, your leadership skills need to grow with it. And we're going to really dive into what that looks like. So this episode today is best for business owners who are scaling past 4 team members. It's getting bigger. It's evolving. Leaders who still feel like they're the bottleneck and their team is not keeping up with them. Or anyone who's ever thought, I feel like I have to do everything myself still. It's still my vision, it's still my baby, and my team are not along for the ride. So we're going to learn the difference between scaling chaos versus scaling smart. We're going to learn how to align your team with your vision and what the growth looks like when it's aligned with your vision. And we're going to talk through the practical steps to create clarity, accountability, and momentum. I'm really excited. Growing a business is epic. Obviously, I'm obsessed with hiring. And I want you to love that part of your business too. Like the business owners I work with, they're so obsessed with marketing and showing up and talking about their service. But I want you to be obsessed with growing a team too. And it being one of the highlights of your business. Hiring's awesome. Having a team is epic. You don't have to do it on your own anymore. Let's make it feel great. So scaling chaos versus scaling smart. What does scaling smart look like? Let's start with the positives, right? Scaling smart looks like everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. Decision-making happens without bottlenecks. You have systems that support both the team and the business. On the other hand, what does scaling chaos look like? You're constantly answering questions or fixing mistakes. That is, you're the everything to everyone person. And especially if you're a mom and you're a woman, sorry guys, I'm not saying this doesn't apply to you, but I have experience as a mother and a woman. Not only are you answering all of your team questions, you feel fully responsible for all your client questions. People still come to you. They're asking for mistakes. Every time you hire someone, it's really reactive. Yuck. Doesn't feel good, right? And that's just your work life. You've still probably got kids that you're accountable to, probably a partner, maybe aging parents. It's a lot. If everyone's constantly coming to you to answer questions or fix mistakes, you are the bottleneck in your business. That means you're not scaling clearly because, to the second point, your team lacks clarity on roles or direction. They don't know what they can make decisions about. That's why they keep coming to you. They don't feel empowered. They don't maybe know what the approval process is to get their work signed off. They're lacking clarity on their roles. They're lacking direction. They feel stuck. So it doesn't feel easeful to bring on more people. And that is why growth can feel overwhelming instead of freeing. If we're hiring individual people, we're not designing the overall business, we're not designing the roles, it can feel really icky. And that's when you get the difference between, I've got to go higher, rather than it's time to bring someone on new. It's time to bring someone else new into my business. It's going to make me more money. It's going to help me serve more clients. It's another person for me to work with. Feel that shift. I want you to be heck yes. I get to hire another amazing person. I get to give them a job. That's how I want you to feel. I've been working with a couple of clients recently and, they've always said hiring has felt so frustrating until they got their processes and systems in place. And now they're showing up on their socials, talking about their team, raving about their team's wins because it's cohesive and it helps them. And they are more happy, the business owners are more happy in their roles because they've got that support from their team. It's freeing. The key mindset shift, and we talked about a shift here, your business is not just growing. You need to grow with it. Your leadership skills must grow. And every time you bring a new role into your business, it should level you up closer and closer into your dream role and into your CEO shift. Because who doesn't want that, right? So we're going to do 3 core shifts to scale smart. Well, let's call them the 3 C's. They all start with C. I like alliteration. Let's go with that. So the first shift, the first C, C is clarity. So the right people in the right roles. I talk about this all the time. Repetition is important in this space. Let's go with that. Hiring the right people in the right roles starts with hiring, of course. And the first step in our hiring process and our hiring strategy is role design. Defining the right roles and ensuring your leadership role evolves as the business grows. So role design is your job description. Let's use your job description as your tool for role design. But I use the example a lot of that 50-seat restaurant, fine dining restaurant. So let's say you're the next Jamie Oliver and you are an amazing chef. You love creating recipes. You want to write recipe books, but you want a 50-seat restaurant. You're the first person. Who's the next person you hire? Because you're all cooking, recipes, kitchen staff, but you're maybe not front of house. And the reason I use this example is it's so visual, right? You walk into your restaurant, you've got your hostess who greets you at the door. Fingers crossed you got your bar on the left-hand side. Someone's shaking a cocktail shaker. You at the back, maybe you've got an open kitchen. You've got your kitchen, oh my goodness, what's the word? You got your chefs in there. What do you call it in Australia? Dish pigs. So offensive. Your dish pig in there, your dishwasher. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it. It's so rude. But you've got your kitchen staff in there. And then on the floor, you've got all your customers, obviously, but you've got your wait staff, your waiters and waitresses. It's really, really visual. But what is the first role you hire if you're Jamie Oliver and you want to create recipes and you want to cook? You're going to hire probably a restaurant manager, a head of staff. Someone who's going to deal with all of the running the restaurant, the business stuff. You're going to work really closely together. And then you're probably going to design your team from there. And that's how I want you to think, right? We're obviously not Well, you might not be at that stage yet, but we need to think about the goals are and the role is. And every time you bring a role in, I want your role as a leader to evolve. So you can make room for that growth for yourself. Role organization and individual role design are key here. So what does each team member own and what do you own as the CEO? So maybe when you're hiring, you're replacing a role, but we need to review that, right? So maybe, someone's been in a role for 2 years and they're going, you've got to get their job description out and you've got to refine it and make sure it's still as relevant today as when you hired it the first time. That's why I talk about hiring positions, not people. It's really, really important. We can go back to that restaurant manager example. We don't create a role around mate Bob as a restaurant manager. We have a restaurant manager position and people come and go from it. Role organization and individual role design. So the organization and where this role fits in, and then the individual role and how it's designed are key. What does each team member in your business do? And then what do you do? We want to run, here's a tip that you can do today. So let's list out each team member you've got now and look at their key responsibilities. Is it still the same as it was 12 months ago? Is it clear? Are the roles still the right fit for your business and your goals and where you want to go and what your role wants to be? Clarity comes back to clarity. When I work with my clients on this big picture stuff around their business, quite often they don't have any clarity. They feel jumbled up. They're like, I need to hire this person. I'm stressed. I'm busy. I'm doing things I don't want to do. And we get clarity on that. We're like, what's the vision for the business? What's the goals? Who are the clients you want to serve? Are you doing hands-on work or are you doing real top-end strategy? We need clarity on these things, on your role, on your wider team roles, and then this new hire. Every time you scale, every time you grow, even when you're replacing a role, it's not a growth at that stage. It's an opportunity to grow. Okay, 2, the second C, communication. How do you organize communication efficiently? So we want to grow our team. We want to bring people along for the journey. Now, it's not just about you anymore. It's not just about you talking anymore. It's about structuring communication effectively. So I always call communication in the type of way that you communicate is a forum. So how is the communication delivered? A forum of communication is a meeting. It is a Slack channel. It's a ClickUp system where you all communicate together. So we want to think of the forums. So a forum could be, like I said, a technology, a Slack, an email, a CRM. Communication could be a process. So how you communicate, how that information flows, including the check-ins, the processes that you have behind it, and the updates. And then the meetings. My big thing with meetings is we don't have meetings for meeting's sake, right? There's this amazing Elon Musk reel that I love, and I've seen him in this interview, and he's basically at Tesla, if someone walks into a meeting and they're not required there, they walk out. I love this. That shouldn't even be happening because you should know what the purpose of your meeting is. Don't waste people's time. And let's think about this in a project environment because that's really, really clear. You're working on a project, you've got milestones, you've got goals, and you communicate. So you're maybe communicating in your ClickUp system, in your CRM system. And that's one pathway for communication. What are the rules around communicating in ClickUp to communicate overall project timelines? And then your continued communication in ClickUp is bolstered with perhaps an ongoing Slack channel where you're doing tighter, smaller updates that can then be tweaked and put into the CRM. And then for big milestone updates, big progress, when you've got to pull multiple people in, you're having a meeting to keep everyone on track. This is all a form of communication. Of course, it's how you communicate, what the tone is, what the rules are, but we're talking specifically about scaling. We have the regular opportunities for check-ins? Is the tools for that? And that's where the second C, communication, comes in. I want to give you a practical tip here. So instead of a decision filter, we use a delegation matrix. So who is accountable for what? Who makes the final decision on things? And how is that communicated? Going back to communication. So early on, you're going to sign off on everything. But as you refine, as you grow, your team's going to take on more. And like ideally, we want to get to a place if we're scaling to a team of like 50 people, we've got you at the top and then we've got a leadership team. Like what are your leadership team empowered to do? And how is that communicated and how is it signed off? Because that's another type of communication, like an approval process. The third C is collaboration. So we want to empower our team to work on their own. So we talked about communication with this and we talked about delegation in this. Like that's the same, right? So this is just different tools in allowing your team to work independently so you're not the bottleneck. It all goes back to that, right? It all goes back to you as a leader. It goes back to the team. It goes back to the people that you hire and bring on. And then you want them to have clarity in their roles. You want to have clarity in your role. You want them to communicate. And then the third C, we want collaboration, where they are empowered and they own their work. So your team needs to step into ownership, not just execution. So what are the responsibilities of their role and what decisions do they own? So collaboration should come through systems and structured accountability. So it's not just your vision, but it's a shared mission. Now, I love to reference Simon Sinek and the why. So why are they doing the work they're doing? What is the purpose? And then how do you do it? And the structure around that, and the structure comes in the form of communications. You know, how you're doing the work and then how you're communicating it. The clarity of the roles that they do and then the work that is assigned to them. Another tip here could be to create a success path. So when we onboard new team members, we give them a success path. So I've talked about this previously, but you can get your job description and then all of the things they need to be doing in their job, you basically make it out into a matrix and you work through that with them in their first few weeks. Like, do they have everything they need to, let's say they're a marketing person, do they have everything they need to follow their ABC step of designing Canva tiles, let's say, scheduling them into social media, getting your approval on it? Like, what's the clear path? And then, because in your job description, it might just say, hey, you're going to be responsible for designing graphics, uplifting content for captions, and then scheduling it. We need to sit down with them and go, okay, do you feel confident in this process? Is there anything you're unsure about? Do we have to keep going through things? Let's tick it off. We give them a success path. We give them you started, you've got skills, to this is success and you own it. And then over time, they're going to have to come to you less. I've got this example. The reason I use that social media example is I've got this with my VA, Michelle. Like, she literally can read my mind now. Like, I used to really go through it one by one to make sure she was on the right path. And now I'll like skim over it because I'm pretty happy. She's got accountability. She knows what she needs checking in on and not, because we've established what success looks like. We've provided space and time and room for her, right? So nothing's urgent. There's a run-up period. There's space. It's not reactive. It's planned. She feels safe. And she's not getting criticized all the time, because really early on, I took the time with her and gave her constructive feedback. I told her when she was doing an amazing job too, which is really important. So see, like, we're talking about these 3 C's in terms of, you know, what your team need to do. But each step, there's something on you as a leader too. So if we go back to those 3 C's, there's clarity. So the right people in the right roles. These are your decisions, or these are your decisions with your business manager who's responsible for hiring them. Like, if it's your business, you still want to sign off on it, right? They might be responsible for doing the work, but you're ultimately accountable. We want to be brought in on all of those decisions. Like, we want role clarity, but we as CEOs need that. And we always need to be going back to our purpose, our job, what we do, and leveling up that way. And then making sure our team comes on the journey with us through communication. Second C. We organize that communication effectively. We communicate our purpose, and then we have the relevant forums to make sure we're always aligned to that. And if our purpose is around delivery for our clients and they're dependent on us, you know, we talk about why that's important. What's the problem that we're solving? And giving them pride in their work and what their responsibility is in that process. Like, sharing, communicating positive feedback from the client. Like, you did this, you made someone's life better. Like, I do that with my team all the time. My colleagues, as I'm recording this particular episode, my colleague Sophia is doing some recruitment on a much bigger organizational project that I'm running. So we're working on this client's whole leadership, hiring, and team strategy because she's a service-based business that her growth model absolutely is dependent on her continually hiring. Sophia's key in that. She's hiring a key position in this client's business. And then she's also helping her do the execution of the strategy that I'm streamlining for this client. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop this woman who owns this business being the bottleneck, and we're going to stop her from doing it all, because that is my purpose. That is my vision. I want women to stop doing it all. I want them to be leaders of their business, to have the jobs they want, to lead from the front and not do all of the things, not have these problems where the team keep coming to them for every little thing, so they can't breathe, so they can't take a holiday, so they can't be present for their kids because their phone is pinging on and on and on. Like, I don't want that for you. I want you to have the job that you want, because the choice should not be between playing small and being a solopreneur and getting booked and that's all you can do. Like, you should be able to have the bigger team and the support and the more money and the freedom. Like, you shouldn't have to choose. But you shouldn't feel burnt out, and you shouldn't feel like it's all on you in any area of your life. Like, I'm a single mom. I still have support. Yes, a lot of decisions are on me. Yes, I am ultimately accountable and responsible. But I have other people helping me out, so I don't drown. Because if it's all on me, I can't show up the way that I want. I can't be passionate about my job. I just feel icky. I don't want you to feel that way. I want you to do what you want. I want us to stop doing it all. I want us to do the jobs we want to do. Because why shouldn't we have that? Success for you might look like different to success for someone else. But I want you to have what you want. I want every time you hire, that hire to be like lit up and passionate about their job. But to go back to what we said in the start, it is your business. It's your baby. It's not you. Your business is not you. But you put a lot of time and energy into that. So you need to be really happy with your role in that business. And then you need to make that business incredible in terms of how you are clear on your vision, on your purpose, how you communicate with your team, how you collaborate together to keep them happy so you can keep scaling. It all ties in together. It all goes back to that hiring, team, and leadership piece. So there we go. Let's wrap up. Scaling chaos happens when roles, communication, and systems aren't aligned. To scale smartly, we require clarity, communication, and collaboration. And CEO, you are a CEO. You have a team. Your leadership must evolve as your business grows. It is not enough to pick up a Brené Brown book or a Simon Sinek book or a Richard Branson biography and be like, I'm a leader. Like, how much time are you giving evolving your leadership and really thinking about where you want your role in this to go? Like, you know what you want deep down. How are you working towards getting there? And that is why I created this space, because sometimes the big leadership, the big TED Talks, it's not applicable to us when we're in the messy middle of scaling. We just need it to be simpler. And this episode is designed to be really simple. You've got practical tips that you can take away. You can create a success path for your new starters when you're onboarding them, so they're up quickly. And they know how to communicate with you because you've told them and because you've demonstrated it and because you lead by example. You've got delegation systems. People know what they're accountable for. Early on, it's always been you, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And then we also got auditing our roles, including our role. Are we headed in the right direction if we're going to keep scaling? If this feels like a lot, this is what I do all the time. So you can always apply everything from this podcast yourself, but you might not want to. You could take time today reviewing your team's roles, building decision-making matrices, and working out your communication, but that might just feel too big to do on your own. So that's what I do. If you want hands-on support, reach out to me, slide into the DMs. I freaking froth this stuff. I talk about it all the time. If you want to hop on a clarity call because you're really ready to level up, that's what I'm here for. This is my home. Hiring teams, leadership. I love this stuff. I'm so passionate about it. Hand waving gestures and all. So I just want to close with Growth doesn't have to feel like chaos. It can be smooth, it can be scalable, and dare I say, enjoyable. It's your choice. It's your business. If this podcast resonated with you, if this episode resonated with you, please send me a DM on Instagram or drop into my emails and LinkedIn and let's chat about where you're at in business. I want to hear about your scaling journey and your growth journey. I can't wait to catch up with you next time. I'm Chrissy. You've been amazing. Thanks for joining me today.
Audience exclusive.